Hello everybody. I've come to share my views about the nurse strike that is happening throughout the UK this week across British hospitals. And I think there's a lot that we're not hearing that's really important and that you need to know. So, nurses are walking out of their jobs and they're not going to be going into work. So there's going to be a shortage of nurses in our hospitals. Now, the average nurse salary is about £35,000 a year. And the starting salary at a minimum is at around £27,000 a year. So you have nurses, a lot of them are involved in fact, administration work, not doing intimate personal care, which tends to be the work of carers in terms of bathing, in terms of cleaning patients after they've been to the toilet, in terms of grooming, shaving, showering, giving medication, really, caring. The definition is in the word carer, turning patients so that they don't get bed sores. So carers are getting half of what nurses are making. They're making about £14,500 a year, when for a starting salary for a nurse it's £27,000 a year. And at the upper echelons it can go into tens, £40,000 a year. But we're seeing actually every year there are hundreds of thousands of patients getting bed sores in British hospitals, and tens of thousands of those are actually dying from those bed sores, a lot of them dying in agony. And it's interesting because we had the lockdowns, and I have to be careful what I'm saying here so that I don't get censored, this video doesn't get taken down. But it's funny that, although nurses are claiming to be busy and they're not making enough money, they had the time to practice multiple dance routines in hospitals during the lockdown. And now they're going on strike because they claim to not making enough money. And some will say, oh, patients won't die, it's going to be fine, we're just going on strike, it's not like we're doing it every single day of the month. Well, I've actually made some notes. I did some research into this, and there's a lot that we're not actually hearing on the mainstream media, and I'd like to share this with you. This is from the National Bureau of Economic Research, from a paper entitled "Do Strikes Kill? Evidence from New York State." Jonathan Gruber and Samuel Kleiner examined the effects of nursing strikes on patient care and outcomes, and they concluded that in-hospital mortality increased by 19.4%. So it went up by 20% in-hospital mortality during these nursing strikes, right? The research was conducted over about 15, 20 years. So numerous strikes. So that means if you go on strike, you are going to be responsible for somebody dying. People are going to die. You need to know that if you are working in the British hospitals, right, you are a nurse, you are going to be responsible for these deaths. Now in the Bible, we have the 10 Commandments, and one of the 10 Commandments is thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill, right? And yeah, it's interesting, you have the book of Matthew, Matthew 22:37, verse 27, where Jesus says, love thy neighbour as thyself. It's between the verses 37 and 39 of chapter 22 in Matthew. Love thy neighbour as thyself. And he emphasized love God. Right? Now, is that really loving thy neighbour? Going on strike when you're responsible for someone staying alive? Now, the problem is in the UK, the UK actually ranks 59th in a poll of 65 countries in terms of non-religion, people who aren't religious anymore. They're atheists. Only 30% of the population now in Britain claim to have faith. So according to them, there is no God. We're an accident. They're pretty sure. If you're agnostic, you're not sure if there's a God. But if you're atheist, you don't believe in a God. Now, I would ask probably the majority of atheists, have you checked under every single corner if there's a God, if God exists? Are you sure you're not going to be judged at the end of your life? Because you better be sure. If you're doing this strike, you better be sure that one day you're not judged for this action you're undertaking. And I think we're entering into very dark times now in the United Kingdom, where love thy neighbour is something that is fast going out of fashion. You know, I work in care. I'm seeing huge numbers of elderly being dumped in our care homes. A lot of them against their will, in residential care homes. Some of them will be alone for this Christmas. They won't have family. You know, I hitchhike regularly on the roads. Every few hundred cars, someone stops for me. This is not a country that is service to others anymore. This is not a country where love thy neighbour is valued anymore. We're in a lot of trouble. We are in a lot of trouble. And if you are in the NHS, please share this video. Please share this video to as many people as possible, to your friends, especially in the NHS, who are working as nurses or ambulance drivers and they're going on strike, because if people die, and they will, you will be responsible. Please remember that.